Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, as usual, before I begin with this lesson, I want to start it off by giving all the glory and infinite praises to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakah HaKadash, double honors to the elders and the apostles, a great millstone who I'm taught and do learn his truth 100% from. Peace and blessings be to all you Akim, Wakim, who are serving Yahweh Shema Shah in sincerity, hoping for mercy, as well as salvation in these other days, man. To you I say Shalom, and Yahweh Shema Shah Barakathon. So I really ain't even, had nothing to get into. I was looking to see what the Spirit would lead me to, and so I started reading. And the Spirit that led me to the book of Romans, the 12th chapter. Going into how we all have our own measurement of faith. And this had brought me back to a lesson that the Apostle Hart put out. It's probably about a couple of weeks now. Going into, how brothers got to give their due diligence, man. All right, we all got to be fervent in the spirit, man. We all have a lot to fulfill, and we all have a role to play when it comes to this ministry. And each and every one of us was given a different portion of the spirit, a different measurement of faith. You have certain brothers who have the gift to be able to go out to the highways and the byways and teach. All right. You got certain brothers who don't have that spirit, which is fine because that's not every brother's lot. All right. You have to find your lot when you come into the truth. All right. But you can't be stagnant. You have to grow. Or you have to grow and you have to pray, right, to find your place in this thing, man. All right. So you have certain brothers who, they may not have the spirit to teach, which is fine. Like I said, they may just be re-uploading brothers' videos to get the word out, to spread the message. You have certain brothers who may be, they bless brothers in certain other different ways. Give brothers, water at camp. Support brothers when they're out there teaching. Sisters as well. You got sisters. Even though there ain't no such thing as a female prophet, you ain't gonna catch no Eve out there teaching. I don't know how it was in the Bible. If she in the right spirit at least. But you got sisters who bless brothers in different other ways. They serve their husbands. You got sisters that make brothers garments. So we all have our own lot to fulfill in this ministry, man. And like I said, you have to find that lot as you grow in the spirit, man. Right? Because I remember when I first came in, I can't do that. I can't teach. What the hell? Look at that. Like that's not something I even thought I was capable of doing. But as you gain more experience and as you grow in the ministry, grow in the spirit, the Lord is gonna find you out. All right, you gonna end up finding yourself, finding your place in the ministry. As you grow, so to speak, man. All right, so for you younger brothers, you may not even think that you're a prophet, but 6 months from now, a year from now, you be out there teaching. You know what I mean? I was one of them brothers. I remember this is when the apostle had put the decree out when I first came in that you got to be out there teaching. I don't know how it was in the Bible, is at least the milk, the basics, at least 7 months in, 8 months in. So I started teaching when I was about 9 months into the truth. But nonetheless, we all have to, play our lot, man. Yahweh Shai had gave the parable of the talents. You have to flip them talents, man. When Yahweh Shai come back, he's gonna be expecting you to have double more than what he gave you, man. If you just being stagnant in the truth, you just going with emotion and shit, cold feet. You know what I mean? The scripture say in the book of Romans, or not Romans like it, but in the book of Revelations. I'm gonna grab it real quick. This is the book of Revelations 3:16. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start at 15. It says, I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou work cold or hot. So when you in the truth, you can't be You gotta be one or the other, man. You can't be in between. All right, and I'm gonna tell you this: if you cold, then you gonna get weaned out, man. All right, there's many examples on Jake. They start off hot, and then they end up getting cold, and now they ain't nowhere to be found, man. All right, you gotta remain hot in this thing, man. All right, you can't be lukewarm. The Lord would rather you be cold or hot. You gotta be one or the other. All right, you gotta have your foot in completely, or you ain't gonna have it in at all, man. You can't have it in half-ass, because eventually the Lord just gonna wean you out anyway, man. Verse 16, it says, so then because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. So it's like when you drinking, you know what I'm saying, some hot tea fresh off the stove, or some coffee straight out the pot. I don't know anybody who like to drink lukewarm ass coffee. You know what I'm saying? You either like it cold or hot. I don't know anybody who like to drink lukewarm tea, room temperature ass tea. You either like it cold or hot. All right, this is what the Lord is expecting of you. All right, but you can't be cold or lukewarm. You gotta be hot in this thing, man. All right, because going back, let's go to the book of Romans. Romans 12 and 11. And then now I grab the precepts before this. Romans 12 and 11, it says, not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. Let's look up the definition of fervent. Because when I think of fervent, I think of something that's glowing like heat. Not like a damn cold rock or something. You know, lava. Fervent, it says to be fervent means to have or show intense, passionate, and deeply sincere feelings about something. And one thing about it is that it's going to be shown, man. Right? It's going to be shown what your mind is truly occupied on in the ministry. All right? Because if you ain't truly focused on what you need to be focused on, you ain't going to be doing your lessons. You ain't going to be growing. You know, it's Jakes who, you know, been in for years at a time and can't break down, you know, the milk of the scriptures, man. You know, can't break down, you know, the you know, proving where the Israelites, can't break down, you know, the Gentiles, can't break down, you know, proving that the heathens are going into slavery. You know, all of these are milk topics. All right, that's you not being fervent, man. It's showing that you're not passionate about this thing. You know, because you can be shallow woman. You know, you can even do lessons. You know, more than likely, you ain't going to be doing lessons like how you need to. And the spirit is not going to be felt in it because your mind is not in the right place, man. All right, we in a time where we can't be slothful in business, man. All right, this is the Lord's work. You know, you got Jake in the world who, you know, they be in that street shit and they don't be playing with other people's money. Why would you play with the Lord money? This ain't just given to anybody and everybody, man. You know, if you've woken up to this knowledge, man, you gotta consider yourself to be blessed, man. All right, you gotta consider yourself to be blessed because out of the millions and billions of Israelites that's in this world, man, right, whether they look like Jake or not, the Lord chose you to wake up. Right, but also we understand that many are called but few were chosen. Just because you woke up to being an Israelite, and just because you do videos, that don't mean that you're a part of the elect, right? Because like I said, you know, you got brothers who, you know, they're not giving it their all, man. And it's times where you can be weak. You can fall weak to the flesh. It's just like that. But you got to get your ass up and you got to put your foot down, man. Right? We in a time where Shaitan going to go harder and harder to hinder us from doing the work. All right? So what that means, you got to go harder and harder in the spirit, man. All right, do your lessons, pray, fast if you need to. All right, read, man. You gotta read. All right, Revelations, grab it real quick. Revelations 1 and 3, it says, blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. Right, the time is at hand, man. You should be in the spirit of doing everything that you can for your Habashimashah so that when that time comes, you don't have the spirit of doubt. You knew that you was doing what you could. Now, we can all do more. Our works are as filthy rags. It ain't about grace. I mean, it's not about works. It's about grace. But this is how you show your faith, man. All right? Because if you truly believe in something, your actions is going to back it up, man. All right? So now let's go to Romans 12. Because this is what inspired me to do this lesson. Romans 12 and 5. It says, so we being many are one body in Hamashiach, and every one members one of another, and each and every one of us is a brick to the third temple. All right? You know, we all have we all one body. You know, each part of the body, you may think a toenail is insignificant to the rest of the body, or a finger, but let you lose one of them things, man. You know, let you get a torn tendon in your finger, man. That shit will hold you back. All right, let you break a pinky toe. That shit will hold you back. Even rip off a nail. You'll damn not even want to do certain things because of that shit. Right? You thinking that the eye, you know, your eye is not as important as your brain, man. Bullshit. All right, you lose an eye, that shit can hinder you in many parts. All right. So there's no such thing as just because you're not a prophet that you are lesser in the ministry, man. We all have a role to play. We all have our own gifts, man. All right, it says having then gifts different according to the grace that is given unto us, whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the portion of faith. And you got certain brothers, you know, their gift is prophecy. I'm one of them brothers. I love going into prophecy. I love going into Jacob's trouble and, you know, the missiles and the troops, and you know, that's my thing, man. All right, but you do have to be balanced. All right, you got to be skilled in every topic when it comes to this ministry, especially if you out there on the Harvest and the Always teaching. Because somebody gonna come and ask you a question, and if you don't know how to break it down, then you know you gonna be shit out of luck. All right, you gonna make yourself look foolish, especially if you out there by yourself. Now, when brothers in camps, you know, everything gonna flow more fluently. This is why, you know, brothers don't push that lone wolf spirit. You need to be around brothers when you teaching, man. All right, because each and every one of us brothers are a part to that body. You know, you got one brother, he may not be an eloquent speaker. He may be gifted when it comes to going into the etymology and Hebrew words. All right, so he can bring out certain definitions when a brother's bringing out a topic on something. All right, this brother may be skilled in the Gentiles, breaking down, you know, what that's going into. This brother may be skilled in the, you know, prophecy. This brother's skilled in this section and that section. All right, it says our ministry, let us wait on our ministering, or he that teacheth on teaching, or he that exhorteth on exhortation. He that giveth, let him do it with simplicity. He that ruleth with diligence. He that showeth mercy with cheerfulness. Let love be with a dissimulation. Okay. And then we can jump back to verse 11. It says, not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. So we all have our own lot to play in this thing, man. All right. We all have our own measure of faith, you know, according to grace, man. You know, whatever the Lord blessed you in, man, you got to make sure that you're doing it to your full capacity, man. So, you know, with that being said, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, exhorting, you know, and that my sacrifice was acceptable in the eyes of Yahweh Shema Shah. So with that being said, Shalom, and Yahweh Shema Shah Barakathon.